All right, in this video, we're going to take a look at loading in some components, which are outside families or loadable families. So this is going to be sorted into various categories that you're going to get very familiar with throughout the semester. But to go load in some families, we're going to go to our Insert tab, our Insert ribbon here on the very top. Click on Insert, and we're going to go down and over to the right here. All right, so I'm going to go to Load Autodesk Family. That is going to bring up the Autodesk library that has some pre-built families for you for your use. And I'm going to go ahead and go down to furniture. And those are all the categories, by the way. These are all the categories that you're going to be familiar with. But we'll go to furniture here. And you can see the various families that we have that are already pre-built that we can bring in. So I'm going to go ahead and load a couple of those. I can select as many as I want here to load in. I'm going to just select some here so we can work with them a little bit. So you can see the various options here. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit load. You can bring in, whatever you want here. It's gonna download those families and it's gonna load them into my project. You'll notice that nothing happened right away. And the reason for that is I still have to go into the command to place them. So I'm gonna scroll down. If I scroll down on my bottom left hand on my project browser down here, you'll see there's a tab for families. So if you wanna check to see what you have loaded in, again, these are the same categories that you just saw. You could always come in here and look and see what you have loaded just to make sure it did come in. So under furniture, you'll see some various families in there. It looks like the ones I loaded, the bar stool, the bed, and the file all came in. So I know they're in the project. That's just a back check if you want. But to be able to place them, I'm going to use my component command. So that's going to be under the architecture tab. You can also use the shortcut CM. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to component, and I'm going to say place a component. All right. So placing a component is going to access all of those loadable families that are in my project. All right. You do have to load in these families for each project. All right. Whatever's in the template. I think they only have like a desk and, some of these other items. A lot of this stuff is for other disciplines. Looks like they've got a countertop, some various things. But for the most part, what you need, you're going to need to load in. But you can see here my cabinet file. Since that was one of the families that I just loaded in, it is available. So I can just move my cursor over into the view. I'm in a floor plan view, and I can just click to place. All right, and then you'll see here, I'm just going to place 3 of them. All right, I'm going to go back to my component command, and I'm going to look for the bed. I can do that by going, scrolling up and down here, or I can also type in, and it's going to narrow down the families here. So I'll go ahead and place one of the beds, and what was the other one? The bar stool. So we'll go ahead and grab that as well and place a couple of those. All right, so if I go in 3D view here, you can easily see your items. All right, there's the bar stools, the bed, and the cabinets. So pretty easy and straightforward to load in families and place them. Again, this just gives you that load Autodesk is just to the Revit library, the Autodesk one. If you have another family, let's say you've found one on a website and you have saved it to your desktop or to a folder, you can always load those in as well. You would just go here to load family, and then you would go search for that. So if you had it on your desktop or whatever, you would just use the browser here to go find that folder, and then you would hit open, and then you would be able to, it would load it into the project. Same thing though, don't be fooled that it doesn't automatically place it or it doesn't pop up automatically. No matter what, once you load a family in, you have to go back to the component component command to place it. All right, so don't discourage if you don't see it right away. Remember to go to the component command to place it. A lot of these too, you can place in 3D, but not all items you can. So I recommend almost always placing it in a floor plan view. That way you know what level you're putting on, and it's easy to locate it. All right, so let's take a look at these different items here. And you could see that when I was placing them, I was making some selections here. So you can see these different options here. We have a double, a queen and a twin. So these are different types of beds that are in here. And these are called types, okay? So they're family types. So you can see here, this is our family, all right, the bed standard, and then these are the different types of that, all right? So I can switch between those types. Also, as long as it's the same category, I can switch to a different item altogether. If that, that bed can become a lat file or anything within the furniture category. I'll just undo that real quick. And then Same thing goes for this here. All these different types that exist, I can switch and rotate between them. So these are all set up. They're all controlled by parameters, which we will learn much later on. But for now, I just want you to know about them and know that you can also change these. So anything that is a parameter that's in the edit type, let's say I wanted to make a cabinet that is, taller than that. I can go into my edit type here. I want to make sure that I duplicate. Any changes that I make here will impact this exact one. So if I duplicate, I'm going to create a new type. And let's say I want this to be, I'd have to check the manufacturer to make sure that's a height that it comes in. Probably not, but that's okay. But let's just use that example. I'll put the height at 62 inches here for that parameter. And then you can see what happens here is it's going to edit that model and create a new type. All right, same thing if I wanted that, maybe it needs to be, let's say it's only going to be 18 inches across. I duplicate, create a new one, rename it, and then I'll adjust that. Okay, well, I'll do the math here, or keep it as inches so you can see it, and then create a new type. All right, the other type is still exists. It's still in here and it's still in the project. I'm just creating it and creating a new type for for that element. And then that is the difference, our main difference here. Anything as far as an instance parameter means it's related specifically to that one element. So let's say I have, let's make all of these the same again. This is the 30 by 20 by 36. So I'll switch it back to that one. There we go. So all of these are the same type. If I were to right click on this, I could say select all instances visible in view. Oh, it's not the same type. That's why. Well, I can try show you on this one. Select all instances visible in view. It's going to select all of the instances that are that. So same thing if I did the bar stool. It's going to select all those bar stools. They have to be all the same type. But if I were to change something, so let's make that one. Is it this? There we go. Let's check it here. There we go. So now it's all three. So if there's something here, anything that I edit here in edit type. So let's say I wanted to change to the, maybe I did want this to be a different size, or I rename it, anything, but just as an example, you would want to rename it to be consistent. But if I change anything here in the edit properties, it's going to affect every instance, all three of these. All right, versus, I'm going to change that back, versus anything here that's on the instance properties, it's just going to affect that one. So if that one is 3 feet high in the air, it's going to be just that one. Okay, so that's the difference here. Our instance properties are just affecting this one instance versus our type properties, which are going to affect every instance of that family.